There's no such thing as sight reading, and this is for the single reed players. Soft reeds were not made for young players and beginners. That's not the reason we have them. Your reed does not care how old you are. The reason we have different reed strengths is because we have different type mouthpieces with different size tip openings. The length of time you've been playing is completely irrelevant. When you make a sound on a single reed instrument, when you blow air into the mouthpiece, the sides of the reed flap against the side rails of the mouthpiece. The tip stays open. The reed flaps against the rails. And if you have a larger tip opening mouthpiece, like lots of jazz mouthpieces, then that reed is going to have to travel a much greater distance to come in contact with those rails, so you have to have a more flexible, softer reed. But if you're using a classical mouthpiece with a closer tip opening, like the ones we start the beginners with, those have tiny little tip opening. So that reed barely has to move at all to come in contact with the rails and produce the tone. So you need a much more stiff, stable reed to accommodate that. So, and I'm not talking about you experienced players. You guys already have your embouchure developed and your air support developed. This is for when you take the beginners. If you take the beginners and you put them on a little bitty tiny tip opening mouthpiece, put a paper thin reed on, thinking that that's going to make it easier for them to play, no, it's going to have the exact opposite effect. Because they can't use any air support, so they can't develop their air support because the slightest airspeed will cause that paper thin reed to close up, and then they can't get any air in the horn. It feels like their eyes are bugging out of their head. And they can't develop their embouchure because the slightest amount of pressure from these muscles also causes that reed to close up, and then they can't get any air in the horn, and their eyes are bugging out of their head again. And so then when it feels like it's hard to blow in the horn, then they think, oh, my reed must be too hard. No, you're going the wrong way. That's what a soft reed feels like. And so we have these beginner players playing on this reed combination for the first 9 months or year, and they're playing with these mushy, sloppy embouchures because they can't develop the muscles because the reed won't allow it, and they're using the tiny, tiny little airstream because any kind of airspeed will stop their sound, and then these things become habits, and it dooms them to failure. My name's Mark Dooley. I've been a private music teacher for 36 years, focused on practical theory and music literacy. If you want to hear more, follow me. If you like lessons, contact me. If you can learn how to read words, you can learn how to read music.